broadcast newsrooms, the person who writes the introduction to a story, the cue, may not be the person who actually goes on and records the script of the story itself. That's because larger newsrooms might have a specialist writer and then those who are actually on air. In smaller newsrooms, it's because the newsreader, who'll read the cue on air and introduce the voiced-up report, is usually the person who finds and writes the whole story and then asks a colleague to voice up the main report. We call it a voicer. The problem comes when the person who records the main report, the voicer-upper, doesn't read the cue before they read their script, before they record it. And that leads to an unintentional intonational disconnect between what the live presenter says when they introduce the recorded reporter and what the recorded reporter actually says when it goes out on air. And the listener hears the story as a single unit, yeah? The live newsreader going straight in to the recorded reporter. The recorded reporter, who when they recorded that report, didn't read the introduction first. They just read the bit that they recorded. What am I saying? I'm saying that the reporter needs to read the cue to themselves before they record their script, so they can get the carry-on sense of the script and present it in the same way that the listener will hear it. Otherwise, the reporter might highlight some words unnecessarily because it's new information to them, but it won't be new information to the listener when they hear it because they've just heard it in the cue. Yeah? So in this story I'm about to read you, the reporter might highlight the word city, a word that doesn't need to be drawn attention to because it's a substitute for the word Brighton, which has already been mentioned live by the newsreader a few seconds earlier. Okay, it was somebody else, but the story is the same. You'll be able to see this script in the show notes. Let me read it to you wrong and then read it right. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a body of a woman was found in Brighton. The 69-year-old victim and the boy are known to each other. Peter Porter has more. Police were called to an address in Cedars Gardens in the Withdean area of the city just before 7 last night, where the body of the 69-year-old woman was found. That's wrong, isn't it? It's got to be read right like this, by subduing the word city, because we already know it's in Brighton, and subduing the information that the woman was 69, because we've already been told that information. Indeed, arguably, you could take it out of the voice piece as we already know it. Here it is right. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a body of a woman was found in Brighton. The 69-year-old victim and the boy are known to each other. Peter Porter has more. Police were called to an address in Cedars Gardens in the Withdean area of the city just before 7 last night, where the body of the 69-year-old woman was found. Now, if you go to the show notes, you'll be able to see another example, because we've already spoken about synonyms a few days ago, where I'm going to be talking about homonyms. So there's an example in the show notes with a sentence with a homonym in. Well, a homonym is the same word which means something different. So, do you lift or suppress a homonym? I'm not going to read you that sentence now because naturally I'll give the game away as I read it, but you can go through that in your own time with the second example that's in the show notes today. And we'll continue with Get a Better Broadcast podcast and video voice tomorrow. If you want to get in touch in the meantime, on Twitter, I'm Tweeter Stewart, TWWTERSTEWART, and from London, I'm Peter Stewart.